All right. We're live, folks. Once again, we're back. We got the show going again. Got a couple new places we're going to. And I got, wow, I got a lot of light behind me. Oh, there we go. So, once again, there's got some interesting stuff. Great show happened last week at the, the other place. We're on the off night right now, so please welcome Mr. Mark Sweetman. There you go.
Hey, thank you very much for that fine intro, Andy. Good to see everybody. Let me bring the music down, and then I'll bring you back in here. How about that? When I'm the only one on the screen, it must have something to do with the bandwidth or something. But when I'm the only one on the screen, it seems that I am able to get that music to come up and down all the time. Oh well.
It does seem like you're moving a little slow on the screen too. That's okay though. We know you're on a different plane. You're on a totally different plane, my friend.
Different plane than last week, that's for sure.
I think so. There we go. Because last week you were completely out of it. How was the flight trying to actually manipulate the show on the plane?
Well, what I did was you saw me mostly on the phone, but I also had a tablet with me. I was going to use whatever one worked best, but I was really straining their Wi-Fi system. And
well, the person sitting next to you seemed really enthusiastic. I can tell you that.
That was my son. That was my son.
Oh, he was extremely enthusiastic.
He was on his phone. He was reading a graphic novel, so he cared nothing about that. And I had earbuds in, so no one else could hear anything. I did hear the pilot come through because he did an overhead announcement during the flight. And I did hear him come through on the show. I listened to a little bit of it today. I didn't hear that part, but I did last week. But anyway, so I'm on the flight and I'm thinking, this is brand new. Delta Airlines is now offering you free Wi-Fi. And I thought, hey, this is how I do my show. I'll just host the show from seat 13C of flight 4966, and we'll see how that goes. And it didn't, pretty much. I could hear you guys fine. I could almost see you. Sam kept coming out, but it was very easy to put it back in. I couldn't see Susan, though. For whatever reason, she was ready to read the poem.
I was there.
She was there, but I couldn't. Normally on my dashboard, you guys all pop in at the bottom, and I just click it with my mouse. Well, I'm doing it on the phone. You don't appear that way. You just see You just see what you see on screen, and I guess you have to hit another button to see who's waiting in the wings. I didn't know that. So, well, at least it was my wife that I disrespected and not any of our guests.
Well, there you go.
When he promotes the show and he talks about who all's on there, he never mentions me. So.
Oh, I should mention you. I'm sorry. I'll mention you.
No. You know what? I'm going to take care of that. Watch this. I'm going to take care of this right now. Here, I'll just hold on. So anyway, to Andy, how was your week? I know that you and Jason didn't do our live show last night, which is fine. I mean, you usually volunteer for that if there's available space anyway. So, which is kind of nice for all the other comics.
Yeah, well, me and Jason were doing the same thing. It was sort of like it was a version of the ancient Indian salmon run, but these were students, and they were coming back from spring break. So it's like every time you go out to the airport, you get somebody coming back to Ann Arbor. And the problem though is that a crap load of Uber drivers in downtown Ann Arbor trying to wait for a ride. So you just keep going back and forth. So it's basically like it's a salmon run, but they're students. They're all trying to get back to U of M. So, and it worked out pretty well for me, And I know I came in just to check because I thought you said you might need somebody, and I said okay. But then I thank you for letting me go back out again for another 3 hours. So I got some more money off of that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, you know what? You probably wouldn't have got on, and I do like that we don't give everyone time limits. And it always seems to work out. And I went up to Claire and I said, look, we had about 3 comics to go in 6 minutes. And I wasn't going to hold everyone to 2 minutes after letting people go for 14 and 15 minutes, And I don't mind if it's 14 and 15 minutes and people are laughing. That's great. I mean, why would I get somebody off after 5 minutes when people are howling, only to put the next person up and everybody goes, oh, why didn't they keep the last guy up? You know what I mean? Yep. So when we're probably going to go till about quarter after. So I went up to Claire and I said, I know you guys want us out of here by 10, but can I get 2 more up there? She said, oh yeah, no problem. You guys are doing great. You know, which usually means they're selling drinks, you know.
Yes.
If they were just wiping tables and nobody's buying anything, I'm sure they'd say, could you guys get out of here? You know, we want to go home. But so
as long as we're selling drinks, we're good. So
yeah, they've been a great host too. I mean, I really did like having it in those small box theaters, those studio type theaters before.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot to be said for doing it in a restaurant like that. It sometimes get noisy. I feel bad for the first half, like the 7:30 to 7:30 to 8:30, quarter to 9 group, because you still got people talking. Yeah. But once you get past that first hour, we get to our 8th, 9th, 10th performer on the show. They're usually paying attention.
Got it. Or the noisy people have left. So.
Or the noisy people have left, exactly. Well, Tim made the last couple of weeks. Tim's made an announcement about, hey, why don't you go sit in the back if you're going to be talking, because we're going to be talking over you.
Nice. That's good.
And I can't remember who was up first. Oh, Wes was up. Wes Partridge was up first, and he had a hard. He eats the mic, and Tim and I have had this discussion before, because Tim likes to eat the mic too. Mm-hmm. I eat the mic. I mean, you don't see your face. And I said, you know, part of comedy is we're trying to make expressions for everybody. We want people to see us smile and frown and do all the mugging and stuff like that. So we usually hold our microphone down, you know, to touch our chin, basically, and go no higher than that. Whereas you got some of these guys, you think they're rappers or something. They got the hand around the ball. They're holding it like this, and so and Tim does that too, and Wes did it, and so we did have to make some adjustments after they had been on stage.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
Yeah, we need this. Yeah, we need the sanitizer for that.
Yeah, it kind of floors me sometimes. These comics that are like running these gigs. Now I love Vivian. I love Vivian a lot. She wasn't there that night, but over at the Heidelberg, we were able to go up into the upper echelon, and we did it on the lower floor in the bar, so everybody was okay. We could see everybody. But when we went up the upper echelon, they did not have any kind of lighting for the stage. They had like this, like freaky lighting, like green lights. This like pretty much like a band lighting sort of thing, but you couldn't see anybody's face. Yeah, but they ran the whole show that night. And I saw, so
that's upsetting. You had that at Stan's. Remember, you went to one night Stan's and they had that freaky lighting, and you're like, "Hey, can you fix this?"
But the thing, we didn't have that. We didn't have that at the Ale House. That we've just. It took us 6 months to get lights. Then took us another 6 months to get that backdrop. I think the lights in that backdrop make a complete bit of difference.
It is, but at least you could see the people's faces, even though it was like far away. It wasn't totally lit. But up there in that upper echelon, it's completely dark in there in the bar, and they had you up on the stage, and you could kind of see like green lights and blue lights and flashing lights, like a sort of like a discotheque. So so what's his name was there, and he said something about we're trying to raise money for you, and in his bit. So what I decided to do is I said, this reminds me of when I worked at Chippendales, I was the one that I drove the fire truck, and I introduced the guy, hey, where's the fire? Because I've got the hoses on the back. And then I did the bit about I was the third bear in Goldenrod and the Three Bears. So that's so that worked off. The kids like that. So anyway.
All right. Well, you know what? Susan didn't get her poem in last week because of the problems I had doing it from the. So we're going to have her read 2 poems, last week's and this week's.
Okay.
And then we'll go on from there. All right. So here is my.
Or would you like to read last week's poem?
No,
because I tried to give it to him Sunday night last week and he wouldn't take it.
No, I think the poem is yours. The poem is actually your segment. So why don't we go with that? All right, thank you very much.
All right, this is February 27th. Let's hop in the time machine. Massive winter storm. Hope you all keep warm. Michigan gets the waste from Ohio. Prince William and Kate each get a new title. The SAG Awards happened. The losers are saddened. Russia destroyed Ukrainian tanks. Zelensky and China discuss war on their banks. Republican senators say no to Trump. And Pence on the presidential bid may jump. The Mormon Church hid $32 billion. The feds fined the Latter-day Saints $5 million. Welcome to the off night in the sky. This poem is being shared off Delta Wi-Fi. Emphasis on off.
we had hoped. Oh, well.
Okay.
We'll laugh about this someday.
March 6th. The off night flew into broadcast trouble last week. Mark Sweetman in the air found he could not speak. Then the poem was there in the waiting room place, but couldn't get into the podcast live airspace. Murdaugh's guilty and sentenced to life. He killed his son and he killed his wife. Rupert Murdoch testified that Fox held up Trump lies. All the more reason Fox News to despise. Trains are still jumping tracks. War is raging in Ukraine. FBI is investigating COVID. Who is to blame? News about Tom Brady of American football fame. He's doing stand-up comedy. Are his jokes funny or lame?
Well, thank you, Susan. That's her. Susan Sweetman and her news poem of the week. All right. That's probably the only segment that will get us a sponsor. So thanks for joining us. And now let's bring our other two regulars out here.
I should go to the bottom of the screen where your thumbprint is for that soft focus look.
Oh, yeah. That's what my thumb is always used for. Giving you soft focus. All right. Anyway, let's bring the other boys out here from New York. Your friend and mine. Here he is, Sam Greenfield, everybody. I think he's coming up here.
Hi, everybody. Let me be the judge of who my friends are, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Also, off in his cab or Uber, whatever he's driving these days, here's one of the funny men from our Unclub show on Sunday nights. Here's Jason Grant, everybody.
Hey, folks.
Another one cool. Here.
Van down by the river. That would be
Van down by the river. Yep. So anyway, let me take a look at what we got here. Anybody want to talk about any of these things? I think Tom Brady doing stand-up comedy.
Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Jason, does that say Carlos Danger?
As a matter of fact, it does. You remember that was the Twitter handle of one Representative Anthony Weiner, a gentleman who
was
did
it Carlos?
No small amount of harm. It was Carlos Danger.
Carlos Danger.
Yeah.
Anthony Weiner's alias, yes.
Yes.
I guess he thought his penis wouldn't be recognized with that name.
Well, remember, was it Mitt Romney?
Well, if it was his penis, it would be Little Danger.
Yeah, Carlos. They're looking at Carlos. They see Carlos Danger and they're going, but he's circumcised. You know.
Oh God! No, I couldn't help myself. I saw a documentary on his just flaming shit show of a life. Yeah, Weiner, and just like it's like, oh my God. The guy probably cost Hillary Clinton the election.
You know, I'm wondering though. You guys hear that?
No, but
we're losing the sound.
He was seconds away from being a mayoral candidate.
Yes,
from being the mayor. Yeah, I mean and until
who I feel sad for. I feel sad for his wife or his ex-wife. God, the humiliation. Yeah. Oh, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, at least she was working for the right person.
Yeah. It's like being in a Zoom meeting and being sideways.
That is humiliating.
Well, if anyone ever questioned Hillary's loyalty, the fact that she kept Huma around,
Well, Uma was fine. She had no problem with her.
No, that's what I mean. I mean,
yeah, it wasn't her fault. I wouldn't. I hate when children and parents and spouses and siblings all get heat for somebody else's assholatry.
I understand, but the Clintons never had any problem cutting bait with someone who might have been baggage.
That is correct. That is correct.
And Hillary stood by Uma. She kept her there. She kept her in her position. It might have been better because that's what allowed that idiot James Comey then to announce that we're reopening. Remember, everyone had forgotten about the whole thing about the email server and
Mr. Morally upright. What a bird.
Oh yeah. I mean, he there was only about 77,000 votes amongst 3 states that elected Donald Trump in 16. And obviously the Democrats learned that lesson. They know how to get people to vote from beyond the grave, and hats off to them. They know how it's done, and they get it done. So there you go.
What's the old saying? Vote early and vote often.
You damn right. You goddamn right. You know what we call it?
It's like I said a few weeks ago. I was at the Michigan Democratic Convention, and none of that shit ever came up. You'd think, as a foot soldier, that I would be asked to be doing some of this. You'd think.
Well, I think Michigan is now.
I guess all the rich Democrats have all kinds of time that they can go out and they can create bamboo ballots and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. You gotta fly all the way to Vietnam to get them too.
Laugh if you want, but those bamboo ballots are available at Pier 1 Import.
There we go.
I have mine shipped in by Chinese spy balloons. So,
which I still think sounds like a really great.
Oh, by the way,
for REM or something like that.
I've named my band Chinese spy balloon.
Did anyone see how long? I'm sorry. Did anyone see how long Trump spoke for?
2.5 hours.
90 minutes.
2.5 hours.
What?
2 hours. 2.5 hours.
I heard it was
Fidel
2.5
Castro. I mean, come on.
And people were leaving, and there weren't that many people there to begin with.
I'm not going to listen to Jesus for 2.5 hours. It's like, look, someone write this down.
Let me say that, Jason. If you can find a place where Jesus is speaking, please let me know. Please.
Will do. Hey, he was a very nice Jewish boy, just got mixed up in some crazy stuff, came from a good family, had
his mother thought he was God. That's right.
Well,
he knew
a trade.
He knew a trade. He was a carpenter, so he had
some
a trade.
Men think they're God. This one just happened to be right. I mean, what are you going to do? Exactly. I mean, and as
don't all carpenters think they're God? Don't all carpenters think they're God?
Yeah,
how much they get paid? Okay.
Do you remember? Do you remember what Mel Brooks said about him and the 2013-year-old man?
No, what?
Carl Reiner said, "This is so funny because it's so subtle." He goes, "Did you know?" This is Reiner, the greatest straight man ever. He goes, "Did you know? Absolutely. Did you know Jesus Christ?" He goes, "Sure, I did. He used to come into our store all the time. Never bought anything." Never bought anything. That's just so priceless.
Now, is his History of the World Part 2 up on Hulu yet? Has anybody seen it?
We saw it tonight. Barbara and I saw it tonight.
Okay. Is it any good?
No. It's fair.
It's got
By
a few
the way,
moments.
is Chris Rock's we tried to watch Chris Rock's thing tonight, and it said it wasn't available.
What service is he on?
Netflix.
Netflix.
They've been pumping it hard too. I mean,
I think it has something to do with our streaming, but I hear it's brilliant.
Well, the man is a good comedian. There's nothing you can say about that. I mean,
I haven't seen it, but I hear that he just tees off on Will Smith and his wife.
Wow. As well he should.
Well, why not?
As well he should. I mean,
as long as it's funny. If it was a diatribe that wasn't funny, then yeah, that's a career.
I hear the entire thing was funny. I hear it was just.
I can't wait to see it.
So great.
I'm sure there's a bootleg out there
that Louis C.K. is out there and getting rave reviews as well, which is nice to see him back from the damned.
I know Louis, and I like Louis, but he should have been arrested.
What is? I mean, I've heard stories that the guy was difficult to work with and whatnot. Is any truth?
No,
I don't know. I mean,
no,
you get to
no, not at all.
You get to be a
not
big
difficult
guy
to work with, but whipped out his dick. So.
Well, no. The thing about Louis is he's reckless.
Well, I think whipping your cock out and beating it in front of say, hey, do you mind if I?
No. I mean, even before that, he when he if you were driving with him to a gig, it didn't occur to him to have a license that was valid. It didn't occur to him to have seat belts. It didn't occur to him not to do 90 in a 35-mile-an-hour zone without a license, without seat belts. We did
he had everything going for him.
Mark knows about this. There's a thing called NACA, which is for a college. Colleges come and watch you, and they book you for their shows, right?
Their shows, right?
And so Louis and I were doing the same one in New Haven, Connecticut. And I had a round trip ticket I'm sorry. Huh?
I don't know. Keep going. You had a round trip ticket
from New York to New Haven and back. So Louis drove, and he said, "Sam, do you need a ride back?" And I was trying to figure out a way not to hurt his feelings because I wasn't going to get in a car with him. And so I said, well, I have a round trip ticket. He said, well, just get a refund. I said, no, I'm okay. And he looked at me with this look like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Did he have a bumper sticker that said Harry Chapin is my co-pilot or anything like that?
Oh my God. No, but oh my God.
Hey,
but he did have one saying, when I fly Air Denver.
Bob or John. Oh God, John. Oh man. I remember when that happened because I just gotten my license not too much before then, and to hear that he had bid it, especially in one of those Burt Rutan specials. I don't know if you've ever met that guy, but he just thinks the world of himself. He's a great designer, but he's a massive, raging, flaming asshole. And I don't know. It was kind of a shame to see Denver buy one of those things, and let alone.
Well, at my sister's funeral, I was talking to Barbara, and I said, my sister at her death only weighed 69 pounds. I said, there's a chance I could be the pallbearer because it's not that heavy.
No.
And Barbara says, Sam, do you know how much caskets weigh? I went, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Viewers that don't know, we know, but Sam's third sister in 5 months passed away.
4 months. 4 months.
All three of his sisters passed away. So
this one hit me harder than any of the other two, because she was like a mom to me. Yeah. She when my mom wouldn't or couldn't take me places, she would take me to her swim club. She would take me with her daughters to the zoo, to the circus. My favorite story, if I may, involves me taking my sister, Corinne, taking me to, with her kids and her husband, Herbie, who was a great, great man, take me to a carnival. And we get on the Ferris wheel. And the Ferris wheel is going at about 20 miles an hour, which is 10 miles an hour too fast.
That is really fast for a Ferris wheel.
And Herbie, I can't do this, but is using his fingers, to whistle to get the ride operator's attention. The ride operator was too busy smoking a cigarette and hitting on some woman. And we're going around. And another thing, the ride's supposed to be 4.5 minutes? It was 10. So we get off the Ferris wheel, and I'm trying to think of the color, somewhere between chartreuse and pig vomit. So my sister says, "Do you have to go to the bathroom?" I go, "Real quick." And she said, "I just go in there. I'll wait out for, but that was hell." Oh, by the way, I have a joke.
Yes.
Okay.
So this guy is he's visiting his girlfriend's parents for the first time, and the father, while talking to the guy, does a thing where he flips a peanut up and catches it in his mouth, right?
Uh-huh.
So he flips it up, catches it in his mouth, flips it up, catches it. On the third one, it goes into his ear, and he's panicking because he can't dislodge it. So the boyfriend says, "I can take care of this." He says, "I'm going to put my fingers, my two fingers, into your nostrils. Okay, when I do, you're going to blow as hard as you can. You ready? 1, 2, 3, blow." And he blows, and the peanut pops right out. So, they go out on their date, and the mother says, "Boy, that was amazing. What do you think he's going to do for a living?" And he says, "Well, judging by the smell of his fingers, I would assume he's going to be our son-in-law."
No.
You've been great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tip your weight. We're gonna be here all week. There we go, folks.
Try the veal. Try the veal.
Tip your waiter or just push him over. That's right.
Put that anywhere. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, Tom Brady is a comic. What do we think about that?
Oh, come on. I mean, well, he lost $650 million with Sam Bankman-Fried. That probably one of the most expensive.
Yeah, listen, he's a comic like I'm a football player. Okay, there you go.
I mean, he's got to.
So, Sammy, you'll be suiting up then for the 2023 season.
I'm ready to roll. Oh, by the way, they asked. This is the funniest thing he's ever said, unintentional though it may be. They asked Tom Brady, "Give us an example of your humor." He goes, "Well, I do a great joke about Gronkowski. What's his name?
Ron Gronkowski.
Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I do a great joke about him." And I went, "Oh, that must just be a knee slapper. Oh my God. You ought to see this guy take a shit. I'm telling you." Oh,
well, Gronk is renowned for bragging in the locker room that he can suck his own dick. And,
there's a joke right there. There's a joke.
Then why, if that's true, then why does he date?
You know what, and again, when you're in the NFL and you're as big as Gronk is, I mean, no one's going to give you a hard time about that. And
wait a minute. He said he could suck his own dick. He didn't say he did.
He did. Okay, you're right.
Wait a minute. Point of order. If he said he could, there's only one way he would know.
Oh, that's true.
Well, I mean, if he went through certain teenage years, God knows he tried. So.
I'd say if you get that close, you would go for it.
You've got to give it your best.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Talk about a hard act to swallow.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Greenfield. He'll be here all week long, folks.
He's coming your way. What?
Wasn't it Carlin? Wasn't it Carlin that said, "Why does a dog lick his balls? Because he can."
Because he can.
Because he can. Right. Oh, dear.
By the way,
really going down.
Talking about Letterman before, Letterman had when he was doing stand-up, just pure stand-up. He said, "Folks, there's new dog food out. And the advertising says, not a speck of cereal. Not a speck of cereal. Folks, my dog licks himself and drinks out of a toilet bowl. I don't think a speck of cereal is going to drive him away."
Very funny.
Was Letterman ever a stand-up comedian?
Oh, yeah.
That act.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
For
years.
I
remember him being
absolutely,
a weatherman. Okay.
No. He was a weatherman in Indianapolis, but when he moved to LA, he did stand up.
Oh, okay.
He was at the comedy store.
He did that great line about everybody knows the first one or two lines from every Broadway musical. Do you remember that one?
No.
He goes, "Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind flies over." He just the second line.
He said something that was so beautiful about Richard Pryor. He said, "When I watch Richard Pryor perform, I feel like a 165 hitter watching Willie Mays take practice cuts."
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
Go.
Yeah. I mean, that. Well, I remember Chris Rock saying something similar about Chappelle. Chris Rock was saying he'd be in one of the clubs trying to write some material, and Chappelle would show up, just go up, do a set, just do something. and he's just taking his material and just shredding it and throwing it away. It's like, okay, yeah, that's garbage. Can't do that, you know.
Well, you know, before we found out Cosby was a monster, Chris Rock was talking about Cosby. He did, and this is when he was in his early 70s. He did 2 1.5-hour shows on the same night.
No, so he had 3 hours of material in his head.
Right. And well, we don't know that. He could have done the same stuff. It was a different noise. But nonetheless, just for the energy to do. And Chris Rock said, you know, I watched him. I'm going, I'm a fraud. I mean, I'm just, you know, and the thing that Letterman said about Cosby's material, which was he makes very complex material look very easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
which is true.
Remember being a kid and just hearing his whole routine about Noah being spoken to by the Lord and his his responses as Noah, saying, you know, who is this really? I mean, just again, simple
That's
stuff.
The greatest line. Who is this really?
Who is this really?
Who is this really? Who is this really?
You know?
I like this. I like his saw noise was great too. Woompa, woompa,
Oompa. Yeah, exactly.
No, what?
And getting angry at God because I've got all these animals. I got the boat. The neighbors are laughing at me.
Who's going to clean up that mess down there? I'm not going to clean it up.
Exactly.
You cannot, and as far as I'm concerned, you know what? You cannot cancel. I mean, I don't want to ever even meet Bill Cosby now, but you cannot cancel that bit is so classic.
Yeah.
It comes down to, you know, the artist versus the art. John Lennon. What can you say about John Lennon? But John
terrible
Lennon
human being, but what an artist.
Monstrous human being. I mean,
well, you know, Cosby did this bit where he said, his wife said, you know, I am so sick and tired of going to Vegas with you and sitting on my behind and watching you do 5 hours of material and all these people come up to you and kissing your behind. And I'm just sick to death of it. And I said to her, you're saying this to say what?
Yeah.
But the one of my favorite bits about, and this is just a one-liner. Cosby said, you know, I was playing blackjack, and I want to tell you something. If they made 23 the winner, I'd be the richest son of a bitch on the planet.
That's a great line. That's a great line.
Because Cosby is one of the first ones I can remember that like had his own airplane. I mean, I don't know if he really did. If he was the first, but I can remember
he did.
that.
Yeah, he did.
Bill Cosby had his jet, and you know he was.
A lot of people before they even knew him as a comedian knew him from I Spy, where he won an Emmy before he won
3 Emmys.
He was a comic before that, but he was an Emmy winner before he ever started recording albums. He was,
and it was a big deal for him to be on television in a lead role.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, again, it's sad when something like that comes out that. He's done this. He put a lot of people through college. He also
$20 million to Spelman.
Yeah, I mean, but he also dropped a whole bunch of stuff in women's drinks and put some things in other places.
You know, it's funny. Somebody asked me if you were Spelman College, would you give the money back? I went, no.
They did.
No, that's insane.
It's already
How
spent.
many people are getting scholarships because of that? Of course you don't give it back.
No, that's
did you see
where that's coming from?
No,
Alex,
you could say, now we're taking this money, but shame on you.
Along those same lines of people being totally out of the culture anymore because of their crimes, the Alex Murdaugh's verdict came in.
Oh boy!
And did you see one of the news channels interviewed O.J. Simpson? And the best clip
I love that. I love that.
You interview O.J. Simpson.
They're asking me. They're asking murder and the verdict. I don't know why. You know, he couldn't figure out why they'd be talking to him.
In O.J.'s defense, he stabbed his.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I mean, they had a fighting chance.
I tell you,
he was like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now. I heard their last breath when I stabbed them. You know.
Well,
yeah.
Murdaugh obviously did some things to make that murder one, to make it premeditated. Whereas OJ could have gotten away with just manslaughter because it was a crime of passion, you know.
Well, when she comes back, you know, when she's saying lines like, oh yeah, I'm fucking a waiter. What are you gonna do about it? Clearly, she had it coming. I mean, come on.
You know, you bone one waiter, all of a sudden they get stabbed.
There you go.
At least
No,
your glove size. At least your glove size is accurate. You know.
There you go.
I mean, the
You know,
thing
they
is,
offered Marsha Clark the opportunity to have that trial in Pacific Palisades,
and she
where
said no.
there was a good chance that OJ would be found guilty.
Yeah, there was
And
no
she
way
wanted
hell-
it in downtown LA, where the
There was-
majority of the people on the jury were black women.
after Rodney King.
And she
there
said,
was
"Oh no!"
way.
She said, "I want it there. Black women resonate with me." Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Sam,
Yeah.
Am I wrong, or was that also a 3-hour return of verdict?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
it 3 hours?
that it was quick. It was back
it?
yeah, they were back in a hurry and
But
Okay, well, what it was is I was at Kinko's. We had it on TV, and as the verdict was going, on another TV, we were seeing cars being stopped, baseball bats coming out. We saw the guy dragged out of the thing, and our manager says, "Okay, we're closing the shop. Go home and get in your cars and get the hell out of here."
that happened after the Reginald or the guys involved with Rodney King. It didn't happen after
Yeah,
OJ.
it sure did. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
I have the
after
theory
OJ.
that if Rodney, I had the theory that if Rodney King, if those cops had been found guilty, 32, there'd be 32 people who'd be alive.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
but then again, what did they do?
But the reason that-
changed the venue. They changed the venue to
Yeah.
Simi
The same
Valley.
thing.
Yeah.
In Simi County, oh, are you kidding? There was no chance those cops are going to be found guilty.
Right.
Yeah, but the reason that what's his name got off was it could have been anywhere. If he had any black person on the set was not going to vote him, no matter how guilty he was. If he even had blood on his hand, they weren't going to vote him guilty because of the Rodney King.
No, after the Rodney.
Well,
after the
you know,
Rodney King thing, it
there
was
was a story that after he was found not guilty, they showed a picture, a film, a video, something of a law school class at Howard.
Yeah, cheering.
And they cheered and cheered. And so then, since that was my alma mater, I had this, I'm using this phrase as succinctly as I can, former friend who said to me, "Why do you think those people cheered?" I said, "Oh, because they're witless, dope-smoking thugs."
Oh,
Well,
man.
that's one way of putting
And
it.
he goes,
So they
"Is that
were-
why?" I said, "No, no, you idiot.
No.
They did. It was their way of saying, how do you like it?
Right.
How do
Yeah.
you like it when someone is so clearly guilty, it makes your heart stop and they're found innocent? How do
Yeah.
you like it?" That's what it was. I'm not saying they were right to cheer, but that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. You know,
Yeah. So-
just thank
yeah.
God he wasn't a Jew. That's all I can say. That's all. I'm just trying to get that shit out. Come on.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'm
my
not sure.
God.
I'm not sure cheering was the right response though, because really, what they were, in a way, what they were cheering was, "Oh, you got to have money to get away with this stuff." You know, because
Well, you
OJ
do.
spent millions of dollars to defend.
There was no way. OJ
I'm
was
willing
gonna-
to bet that he didn't spend a dime. I'm willing to bet that Johnny Cochran did that pro bono for the
Well, you're
Ink.
probably right.
He might have,
Johnny-
but there's
oh,
a lot of
speaking of
expense
Johnny
that was involved
Cochran,
in that trial.
When Raphael were in New York last week, we went to see Book of Mormon. And there's a scene. There's a scene where they
That's a
have.
great play.
Have you seen Book of Mormon?
Yes.
Where they have that
I
scene
did,
where
yeah.
they have the Mormon nightmare, the Mormon
Yeah.
dream night, the Mormon dream sequence, and the evil demons of Satan were Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Johnny Cochran. Or at least
Oh, that
at least it was in the version we saw, and I'm sure they update those
Yeah.
those. I'm sure they update those characters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, probably. But then my favorite line is he's throwing Star Trek in with the Latter-day Saint message. You know, it's like it's kind of funny.
Well, that's
They
a
had, one,
takeoff
they had
on,
one of the,
on,
they had one of the dancers in the production we saw. They had one of the dancers dressed up like Lieutenant Uhura.
Yeah,
God.
that's
great
funny.
show.
Hey, she was the one that had the first Bluetooth. Remember that giant, hideous earpiece they used to have stuck in her head?
Thing
Yes.
weighed about 3 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, although it was fun when she'd go put on the African dashiki when her off hours. Oh, what I would give to have that outfit and to dress up in it on
They
casual
asked Nichelle
Fridays.
Nichols. I'm sorry. They asked Nichelle Nichols. We've heard that a lot of people did not get along with William Shatner. That he was an egomaniac and he made life difficult for the cast. What's your take on it? She said, I was on the air for 3 straight years. Then I appeared in 4 Star Trek movies. I have no complaints about anybody at any time.
There you go.
Yeah,
Glad to be
That's a career.
absolutely.
Three
Glad to be there.
seasons of a TV show and 4 movies. You can retire on that.
And by the way, what people don't understand, which I don't understand why they don't, is that there are so many horrendously obnoxious people in show business.
Yes.
You're kidding.
That when you see I'm in awe of what great actors people are. An example is Lucy Liu hated Bill Murray. Hated him.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore, he made her cry. And if you see the scenes where they're working together, you would have no idea that was true.
Because they're pros. They're pros.
Because they're pros.
Sam, you've been on the Sopranos set. My understanding is that Gandolfini was a real kind of easy guy to get along with, but it was
very easy.
But it
very,
was Tony Sirico who played Paulie Walnuts, who was difficult.
Well, here's the thing. I did 3 different Sopranos. I don't want to say who they are. No, I don't want to brag, but I'm going to tell you this: the meadow doesn't have much grass. No, but
I don't want to brag, but I can do Gronkowski jokes now too.
Let me just say, no, but the first one I did, it was with Steve Buscemi, and God, it was like taking acting lessons. Steve Buscemi and Gandolfini, they're in a restaurant, they're in a diner, and I'm watching Gandolfini. I was in the scene, but I was a waiter in the scene, but I'm watching Gandolfini eat, and he ate like Soprano would eat, like savagely going after the food.
Right.
And so we take a break. And I'm kind of doing what I do best, which is daydream goofily. And I feel these hands on my shoulder and someone saying, "Excuse me, sir." And I look around and it's Gandolfini. Instead of saying, "Get the fuck out of my way," "Excuse me." So I said, "Oh, absolutely." And then he comes back to the set and he goes, "I can't work in this kind of arena." And then everybody laughs because it's so not like him. But no, he was wonderful. He was a wonderful guy. In the second one I did, it was the one where what was her name? Christopher's girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
Adriana.
Yeah, where she gets killed.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
that is a great episode.
Yeah, it was
amazing episode.
Because they do it like they're stepping on a bug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and also you really see Syl. I mean, Stevie Van Zandt's a guitarist. He's an artist. He's a guitarist. I don't think of him as an actor, but boy, oh boy, did he! I mean, it was just so freaking cold-blooded. It was so cold-blooded when he
and so he kills her, and they yell "cut," and he walks by me and he goes, "I guess I told that bitch."
Did Buscemi direct that one, or am I wrong about that?
I don't know if he directed that. You know, where I was situated, I was 40 feet from the director. Okay. So I couldn't tell if it was Buscemi sitting with a guy or just Buscemi directing.
Because he also directed Pine Barrens and
yes.
Yeah,
and that you know, it's a funny thing.
When you're doing weekly shows like that, though, they have more than one. Sometimes the assistant director.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at Law and Order, they have a different director every week.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, there is no more harmonious set than Law and Order or Law and Order SVU. Why? Because they've been on the air for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah. And they're not going anywhere. You know, all the sets that Dick Wolf is responsible for, the FBI's, the Chicago's, and the Law and Orders, everybody's happy. They've all been renewed for 3 more years. They're going to be rich if they're not already. I mean, Sam Waterston, he's 81. You think he has to work some more? He does it because they asked him back.
And Michael Moriarty got fired from the first LA Law, or not, excuse me, but from the first Law and Order.
Well, you know why he got fired, right?
He said some stuff, I believe, about Clinton that did not go over well.
No, it's about Janet Reno.
Okay.
And see, what Reno said was so innocuous, I couldn't believe he got upset.
What, did he call her a dirty, murderous?
No. I'll tell you, when I saw him talk about it on the Bob Costas show.
Right.
And I'm watching him. Here's what happened. She said that TV, for better or worse, network TV, for better or worse, has certain standards.
Yeah.
And that the people on it have to recognize those standards. And whether you disagree with them or agree with them, those standards exist. Now, what she said was absolute truth. She didn't say, we're going after you. She didn't say, this is ungodly.
Right.
What she said was the absolute empirical truth. And he went nuts. And I'm watching him talk on the Costa show. I actually called a friend of mine and I said, I want you to turn on the Costa show. Michael Moriarty has gone insane. I really thought he had lost his mind. I really, really did. And so, Dick Wolf said to him, I was told, Dick Wolf said to him, when we come back for the following season, just tone it down. And he goes, don't tell me to tone it down. When freedom of speech, you're fired.
You can't fuck with Dick Wolf. I mean, that's like,
not when he's got 9 shows. Sorry, he's got 9 shows on TV. Are you kidding? 9. Are you shitting me? Come on.
And it also, the thing is, the show isn't about the people. The framework has been established. People can come in and out of that show. Paul Sorvino was only there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Paul Sorvino's an amazing actor.
George Zazunda was on it for 1 year.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
now Zazunda was on it for 1 year because he wanted to go back to LA.
Right.
There was no hard feelings. They wished him the best. He wanted to go back to LA. And then like you said, Sorvino was on for 2 years.
Right.
And then we were blessed with Jerry Orbach.
Right.
And then when he left, it was Dennis Farina who was great on that show.
God, wasn't Farina good on that? Died way too young. God, that.
Yeah, he had blood clots.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I hate to digress, but his role in Midnight Run, when you had Charles
Jimmy
and Robert
De Niro,
they're doing their thing, and Farina is just chewing up the scenery because they're not together a whole lot. They're only like 1 or 2 scenes together.
The scene at the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it finally all comes together.
Hey, Stanley. Listen, Stanley, have a sandwich, a glass of milk, do some fucking thing.
Oh God! What again? A really underrated movie.
And by the way, Grodin was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
And again, he's one of those actors who just plays it down so well. I still remember him trying to get his bride to eat the cheesecake in The Heartbreak Kid. I didn't understand it as a kid.
Why did they remake that? Why did they remake that?
They can remake it all they want. They're not going to touch the original.
The scene between him and Eddie Albert, when Eddie Albert says, he offers him $25,000. Yes. Do you know how much 25? Have you ever touched 25? Have you ever touched 25? And the thing that was so great about that movie was at the end of the movie, he marries her. He marries Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
And then you see him, and you can see in his face, he's like, he's not saying it, but you're saying it to yourself. He's going to dump her.
Yeah.
He's absolutely going to dump her.
Already looking at another girl, yeah.
Even if he wasn't, he was going to dump her. But who was great in that was Jenny Berlin, who played his first wife.
Yes.
Who was Elaine May's daughter.
Really?
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But that movie was just, So
again,
goddamn good.
it's a pitch perfect movie and some fantastic casting. Is that Norman Jewison who directed that, or am I wrong
I
about
don't
that?
think so. Mark, could you help us?
Yeah, Mark on the amazing Mark on the keyboards
Heartbreak
there.
Kid, the original.
The original
Who
one.
was the director? I don't think it was Jewison.
Wasn't Sidney Pollack, was it?
No, I don't think
No.
so. I can go to my handy dandy book.
Let me see. Sidney Pollack didn't Sidney Pollack direct the first Thomas Crown Affair? Because that is again another movie that is just Steve McQueen is so damn good in that, and all he does is just show up, and it doesn't matter. He's Steve McQueen, and it's perfect.
Yeah,
and it has that wonderful Michel Legrand soundtrack.
Windmills of Your Mind.
Yes, it has one of my favorite directors of photography. Was it Haskell Wexford?
Haskell Wexler.
Yeah, Wexler. He and Conrad Black, not Conrad Black, but Conrad Hall. Those two guys did so much in the 60s and 70s in terms of director of photography. They really, later on, of course, Gordon Willis and Zygmunt.
It's Oscar week on TCM.
Right.
Yeah.
And I watched a movie today that was, for its simplicity, was so brilliant. I watched Marty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Whoopi Goldberg.
Hour and a half.
Marty, you want to go up? Do you want to go up to chase some skirts, Marty? No, I don't want to go. Come on. Well, what do you want to do? What, you want to just hang out here? I don't want to
go. And calling women and saying, that girl you're with. And they know he likes her. They go, who's that dog you with?
I think that was what Frank Sutton saying that too. I mean, yeah.
Heartbreak.
We got a squirrel for you, Marty.
And then the mother goes berserk because he actually finds a woman. You know, it's like, all right, you know.
Well, that was my grandmother on my father's side.
Wasn't that the woman who played? Wasn't she the one who played the mother in Sopranos?
No, that was no. That was
Lorraine. That was Lorraine.
No, not Lorraine. Oh, I can't remember her name. Nancy Marchand.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh yes.
Who also played the Catherine Graham-like publisher on Lou Grant.
And on Lou Grant,
right?
Yes.
She was on stage a lot. My understanding.
You got your
Who's the director? Mark.
Heartbreak Kid director. Are you ready? Here it is. Elaine May.
Elaine May directed that? Oh my God. You see, it's not fair.
And speaking of Elaine May,
I am to believe Wikipedia, and I do in this.
Did you ever see A New Leaf?
No.
I've seen it every
This is a movie with Walter Matthau and Elaine May and Doris Roberts, and Walter Matthau played a playboy who was going broke, and so he marries Elaine May with the idea he's going to kill her and inherit her money. And I'm not giving it away, but it's been 30 years. He doesn't kill her. He there's a scene where she's drowning, and if he lets go of her hand, she's going to die. And he goes, and he pulls her up, and he saves her life, and they walk off together. And the staff at her house, she's rich, she's a wealthy woman. They're using her. They're smoking, and they're spending her money. And Matthau doesn't like this, so he says, "You're all fired, all of you." And he fires them all, and he takes over the books, and he changes her life. But it was a wonderful movie, A New Leaf, and she might have directed that.
Okay.
Matthau he played a villainesque character in the movie Failsafe.
Oh yeah,
yes, he did.
He plays a Kissinger kind of, sort of like character, and he plays that so fucking well. Again, that was the same guy who directed Dog Day Afternoon.
Sidney Lumet.
Sidney Lumet directed that, and absolutely pitch perfect. And again, going up against Dan O'Herlihy, who's making his American debut. He's an Irish actor, and he comes from a completely different school of acting. and they have a couple of scenes together that work beautifully.
Mhm.
And again, I think that's a great one. I like it a lot better than I do Dr. Strangelove, which obviously played for laughs. It's a satire, Terry Southern script, very bitter. Whereas Failsafe was played very direct, very, and again, then you also have Henry Fonda essentially just playing with Larry against Larry Hagman, just in a room that's their entire, that's their entire set.
Yeah.
And, again, a brilliant movie with some great acting in it. But again, Matthau was just someone who could really, he was a lot more rangy than people ever gave him credit for.
Well, did you ever see A Face in the Crowd?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, when he says to the Andy Griffith character, Lonesome Rose, he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, you'll be back. You won't be the number. You won't be number 1. You won't be
Right.
number 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may not even be number 20, but you'll be back."
Yeah.
And then as he and Patricia Neal leave, Griffith, Marsha, Marsha, come back. And that was Elia Kazan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, talk about
And a young, beautiful Lee Remick.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't she also in Sometimes a Great Notion, also known as Never Give an Inch? They released the movie under the 2 different titles. And again,
the only people I remember in that movie were Paul Newman and Richard Jekyll.
Yeah.
And that was it. She could have been in it. She
Michael
was in The Omen.
Michael Cera's Henry Fonda.
Lee Remick, yeah.
And Henry Fonda.
Yeah,
Really
Michael Sarrazin. God, people were saying Kaddish on his career. What the hell happened there?
I don't know, but that's when I knew that there was a little problem with me, because I was in love with Michael Sarrazin when I was like 12 years old, and it's like, okay, this isn't quite the way other guys are going here. But
they shoot horses, don't they?
Yeah,
yes,
that was with.
Yes. Oh, great film.
Great
film.
There was a movie, and I can't remember what it is now. I cannot remember.
Gig Young.
But Gig Young was supposed to play the lead in that movie, and evidently Gig and Whiskey were friends, and he would show up, and he would show up bombed.
Yeah,
right.
And I cannot remember the movie. I'm going to find out, but
his reputation for drinking was so bad that even my grandmother knew that he was a drunk. And my grandmother.
Well, my grandmother knew it because she was an alcoholic. So right away. That old bitch. Are you kidding? When she died, Johnny Walker divested. Are you kidding me? Her last words were "tax stamp my ass." Oh, it's a sad thing. I just tell you.
She was Gig Young's last movie. He died after that.
Yeah, he killed himself and he killed his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and now
not in that order, I assume. But
I hope not.
That's a nifty trick right there.
Hey, if the dead can come back to vote for Biden, he can pull that off. I mean,
goddamn right. Can I tell you something? If they did and it helped him win, great. It's really funny. As horrible as Trump is, I prefer him to DeSantis because DeSantis actually has a plan.
Yes.
Well,
we are dead.
And Trump has no plan, so he's more easily thwarted.
Trump is just for Trump. That's right. The problem with Trump. He's just
DeSantis is a Nazi. We're going to arrest teachers and ban books. I mean, what the fuck?
He is against.
He's even taken over Disney, for God's sakes.
Yes.
By the way,
I will not be.
And I heard that.
I don't want that fucker to die in a bunker either.
He's going to take Disney's head
the hockey team,
and turn it into something else. He's going to sacrifice Disney's head.
The hockey team that plays in Nashville.
We're coming to the end here. So.
They said that they're going to safeguard the drag shows.
Oh, wow.
Well, their name is the Predators.
They said,
of course, they're going to do that.
Well, back when I was in prison, the drag queens were the ones you had to watch out for because they'd cut you faster than anybody else.
Is that true?
Yeah. They're going to put diapers on Goofy and Pluto.
Nobody was carrying a shank like drag queens.
I didn't say she was crazy.
We got 30 seconds left when we wrap it up here, fellas. We can talk after the show. I got to wrap it up here.
Everybody
else has been watching us.
Pluto for some reason.
We do carry on here after we go off the air, and we'll be able to do that. But right now, it's time to wrap up the show. We're here every Monday night at 8 o'clock. It's the off night because we all have Monday night off. If you'd like to join us, contact me through Facebook. I have a webpage. Just get a hold of me. You know how to get a hold of me. I mean, there's so many people I don't want getting a hold of me that do. So. I want you to get a hold of me.
Has Disney's head. Think about that. He has Disney's head. DeSantos has Disney's head.
Stick around. I'm closing the show, guys, and then we're going to talk afterwards.
I'm scared of you, Andy.
All right.
I'm a little scared myself.